Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagara Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahara Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanusuते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, till now, we saw in chapter number 3 that Arjuna is asking Krishna what should be done. Should we renounce the activity or should we do the work? And Krishna says that you should do your work and you don't have any other option also, because uh, to maintain your body, actually, you need to work. And then we saw next verses that Krishna tells us the um, cycle of sacrifice in verse number 14, 15, and how this sacrifice is to be done. And then he tells us in from verse number 17 to 35 that how even a person who is realized does work to set a right example. And there we saw that the realized person has no duty, but he can also see he works, but he works without any attachment, and therefore common man also follows that example. And then Krishna says that I also don't have any duty, but still I work. Because if I don't engage in my duty, then what will happen? His whole world will put into ruination. And then the difference between attached worker and detached worker, that is karma kan and karma yogi. What is the difference between that? And in that, we are now in verse number 28. So let us see these verses. What does it mean and how does it work? तत्त्ववित्तु महाबाहो गुणकर्म विभागयो गुणागुणेषु वर्तन्ते इति मत्वा न सज्जते. Tattvavid, the knower of the absolute truth. Two, but Mahabaho, O mighty armed one. Guna karma of works under material influence. Vibhagayo, differences. Guna, senses. Guneshu, in sensation. Vartante are being engaged. Iti, thus. Matva, thinking. Na, never. Sajati, become attached. Translation. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty armed, does not engage himself in the senses and the sensation, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruity results. So, person who is in knowledge knows that he is not this body but spirit soul, and therefore he does not engage in sense gratification of this material body but works in devotion. So that is what it means. Purport: the knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in the material association. He knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and that his position should not be in material creation. So, what happens is when one is gradually realized further, he comes to know that he is not his material body, but his spirit soul. And because he is spirit soul, but trapped in his material body, so therefore, he is in very awkward position here, and therefore, he should come out of this material life. That is what his goal is. And therefore, he knows his real identity as part and parcel of Supreme, who is eternal bliss and knowledge, and he realizes that somehow or other he's entered in the material conception of life. So, here, what is important, he has a knowledge that he's part and parcel of God. But at this point of time, we do not know why we are entrapped in material knowledge, why we are entrapped in this material world. So many times, Prabhupada is being asked this question that how did a jiva came in this material world? And Prabhupada sometimes has different answers. One, but best answer he says that first get out of the material world, and then we'll know how you came here. So the best thing is to get out. Like somebody is falling the well. So if he gets a chance, he should first try to get out of the well. He should not ask, who has put me in the well? First find out that person who has put me in the well. In this way, he will never come out of well. So therefore, we don't know why we are entering the material world and how we have come. But the best part is that we should first get out of this material world, material consciousness. In his pure state of existence, he is meant to detail his activities in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. So pure state means the state of spirit soul. So when we realize that, so all our activities actually are in devotional service, and you should do all that is for Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to activities of material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. So we have discussed this in length before also, that there are two types of dharma. One is Nitya dharma or dharma of the soul, and one is temporary dharma or anitya dharma or whatever you may call. That is the dharma of the body. So this the dharma of the body changes according to what one is born in. So suppose one is born in the family of Brahmana, then his work will change, Kshatriya will change. And again, if he's born in Hindu family, his work will change. Again, born in Christian or Muslim, his work will change. But it's all this work goes on changing according to the body one has received and where one takes birth. But the dharma of spirit soul, either you may be born in a Muslim community or Christian community or Hindu community or Brahmana, Kshatriya, whatever it may, it always remains same. So dharma of the soul is to uh, serve the supreme soul or the personality of Godhead, because that is his constitutional position. So the basic dharma of the soul is to do service of supreme personality of Godhead. It never ever changes, and therefore anybody from any part of the life can practice Krishna consciousness at any point of time, because that is his natural dharma or natural inclination, and one will be naturally happy to do this. Otherwise, it's a temporary activities which will never give him joy. And the joy is there in the spirit soul in connection with Supreme Personality God. There is no joy in this material body. So whatever we try with the material body, how much we progress, how much economic develop will become, it will increase our facilities, it will increase our so many things, but it will never give us real satisfaction. Real satisfaction can be attained only and only when we uh, do devotional service, and therefore others all are circumstantial and temporary. So it will only give temporary results, not permanent results. This we should always understand, and therefore we should understand that nobody in this material world is happy. There may be smiling faces, there may be on the selfies and all, but one cannot be happy till the time one is connected with Supreme Personality of God. He knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. Consequently, he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reactions, which he considers to be the mercy of the Lord. So, whenever we start our devotional service, then our life is directly governed by Supreme Personality of God. So, there are two kinds of laws. This also discussed that one is the law of Krishna or Supreme Personality of God, and another is the law of the material world. So, when one comes in devotional service, then he is directly under the control of Supreme Personality of God. And therefore, whatever the results he attains, or whatever good or bad things happen in life, is under the direction of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he knows that it's all good for me, and therefore he is not disturbed, because example is given, like a father may punish a child, and a outsider may punish a child. But when a father punishes a child, the child knows that my father is punishing so that I may become a better person. And therefore, he takes the punishment and does not become unhappy, because by that punishment is the son's interest is being taken care of. But when somebody else punishes, then it is difficult. Like this, when some difficulty comes in the life of a sadhaka, it should be understood that it is meant for his purification, and it is directed by Supreme Personality of Godhead only for one purpose, that is bringing him back to him. And therefore, he is not at all disturbed by all kinds of material reactions, because it is considered mercy of the Lord. And if we see Srimad Bhagavatam also, there are different devotees who are being treated sometimes badly, sometimes they are being cursed, defamed, and so many things. But they take these conditions very uh, nicely, that this is a prasad, or the it's happening because of the all the direction of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereby they go back to Godhead very fast. So this is what we should understand. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who knows the absolute truth in three different aspects, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of God, is called Tattvit. For he knows also his own factual position in relation with the Supreme. So some places we know only about Brahman, that is the light, and people say that we have to merge the light. Some say that Paramatma is everything, we should meditate on it, and some say Supreme Personality of God is everything. So one who knows these three features of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan, so in total, he's called Tattvit, or who has full knowledge, because he knows this his relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Bhagavatam, if we see, gives knowledge of all three, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan, and therefore Bhagavatam is considered the Amala Puran, or the crest jewel of all the Puranas. And therefore, after Bhagavad Gita, we should definitely do Srimad Bhagavatam as well in our reading, so that we can understand this very nicely. So here Krishna says that one who has knowledge in absolute truth does not engage in sense gratification, because he knows what is working devotion and what is working results. And then in this verse number 29, also he described that how persons are fully engaged in material activities and are in ignorance. But what should a wise person do? So this we'll see in verse number 29. Prakate guna sammudha sajjante guna karmashu tana Krishna vido mandan Krishna vinna vichalayet. Prakate of material nature, guna by the modes, samudha, be fooled by material identification, sajjante, they become engaged, guna karmashu, in material activities, tan, those, akrishnavita, persons with poor fund of knowledge, mandan, lazy to understand, self-realization, krishnavit, one who is in factual knowledge, na, not, vicharet, should try to read it. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached, but the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior to the performer's lack of knowledge. So here Krishna is saying that because one is in the trap of material nature, that is in three modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. So what happens is one is fully engaged in material activities. So if one says that please chant Hare Krishna mantra, or please read Bhagavad or something, they'll say we have no time. We have no time, because one who is not a devotee of the Lord, what happens is material energy entraps that person in such a way that one has actually no time, because he has to do lot of work. Until one understands that one is in the grip of material activities or material nature, one will not be able to come out. So it's not an easy thing. So if one is actually having some sort of devotion, or having some sort of devotion, that then one should be considered oneself very, very lucky. One is very, very lucky. Otherwise, for millions and millions of years, even one tries to get off material, it's not so easy. And therefore, Krishna says, but the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. So, wise person who is a person who is in knowledge, who knows that how things are working, should not unsettle them, should not unsettle them. Uh, Even though these duties are inferior, because the performer means the person has no knowledge. But actually, devotees are very kind, and we know that devotees will try to unsettle them and will try to help them with whatever they can, so that gradually comes to devotional service. So this is the nature of devotees. Devotees are very, very merciful and very, very loving. So therefore, they will try to do as far as they can. Purport: persons who are unknowledgeable falsely identify with gross material consciousness and are full of material designations. So one who doesn't have knowledge, what happens is one will identify everything with gross material body, and therefore will work only for the body and are fully materialized. So one has so many designations. So I am a man, somebody's woman, or somebody is designated that he's engineer, he's doctor, or somebody is of this nation or that nation, and somebody's father, somebody's mother. And like this, if we see, there are so many material designations one has, and one is full of all these designations. This body is a gift of material nature, and one who is too much attached to the bodily consciousness is called manda, or very lazy person without understanding of the spirit soul. So this body is a gift of material nature. So this body is given to us by material nature, so that one can use this body to serve Krishna and go back to Varet. So this gift has to be utilized for proper reasons. But one who is too attached to his bodily consciousness, that I am this body, is called manda, or lazy person. So why is called lazy person? Because he has no understanding of spirit soul and does not work for his real benefit, that is working for spirit soul. But he works only for this material body, and therefore is called manda or lazy. Ignorant man think of the body as a self. So if person is ignorant, he thinks that I am this body. They accept bodily connection with others as kingship. The land in which there is the body is operating is their object of worship. So whatever relationship they have, they consider it very, very important, and whatever land they are born, they consider it is object of worship. And they consider the format of religious rituals to be ends in themselves. So whatever things they do, they consider this is all in all. There is nothing more than this. So social work, nationalism, altruism are some of the activities for such material person. So what happens is when we identify this material body and thinks that these are my people or this is my nation and everything. So one what we'll do is do some social work, some charity here and there, and some national work and everything. So actually, this is also some good actually doing social work and all. If we see in general sense, because at least they're doing some
Yes,
moral work. But if
after
one considers
yes,
that uh,
right.
if
It is after
if one considers one as spirit soul, then these activities hinder the spiritual growth of that person, and therefore these activities are considered detrimental. Otherwise, actually they are doing some work, and gradually if we they work in this way, then gradually there will be some past activity and they can gradually grow. So under the spell of such realizations, they are always busy in the material field. For them, spiritualization is a myth, and they are not interested. So when person has such medicine, they are so much busy doing so many things, and therefore what happens is they have no time for spiritualization, and they are if they have time also, they have no interest, because they consider that this all is myth, this body is all in all, and once the body is gone, nothing will. So they will work very hard so that each and every second of the time is being utilized in some work. Those who are enlightened in spiritual life, however, should not try to agitate such materially engrossed persons. So those who are um, enlightened spirit soul in the spiritual life by because of some good fortune should not try to agitate such persons. Otherwise, they will not listen actually. Better to prosecute one's own spiritual activities silently. So here by saying that it's better that One do one's spiritual activities, chanting, hearing, and alone rather than disturbing other person. Such bewildered persons may be engaged in such primarily moral principles of life, such as non-violence, similarly material will not work. So such people may be asked that they should give some charity to uh, temple, maybe distribute some prasad or some so many different things or some non-violent things. All so similarly, some benevolent work they do in this way gradually develop. This is what we can do. So men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. So why do we not preach is because they will not be able to appreciate what activities we are doing in Krishna consciousness and how important it is. They will tell that, oh, why we are building so much big temple. Instead of that, why don't feed the poor? So like this, there is so many arguments which they will put because they're not in knowledge that by building temples, what happens is these temples help one to get knowledge and one to get clear mind. And if we see the expenses of temple are actually not much; they're very less. There are different food for activity and so many things goes in temple. But the type of expense which people are doing nowadays on so many things like fashion and even they're destroying their health in using so many products or liquor or tobacco is so huge that people cannot even understand that they're doing so many wrong things. But uh, therefore, we should try as we can to develop Agyat Sukriti for such people so that developly they may develop Krishna consciousness. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. So here there comes the twist. That generally Krishna is saying that not to disturb, but what devotees does, devotees knows that Krishna wants them to become come back to him. And therefore, by knowing the purpose of the Lord, what the devotee do, they are more kind and they do the needful. So consequently, they undertake all kinds of risks even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. So devotees take all kinds of risks, and therefore we see they will distribute Bhagavad Gita, they will distribute literature, they will distribute prasad, and we have seen in the past 50 years how in Iskcon different devotees went in different countries like Russia, China, and where it was all banned and so many devotees have risked their life. So many devotees have given their life for spreading Krishna consciousness all over world. Some are known, some are even not known, but they take all type of risk only so that the living entity can get out of this material world back to Krishna. So this is very much necessary for the human being, and therefore Krishna consciousness is a boon for the living entity, and one should try to do as much help to Krishna conscious activities as they can, according to their capacity. And even one should even try to give others as much as possible Krishna conscious activities of Krishna, so that others may also get a chance to go back to God and get out of this material life. So this is very necessary. So here now in 30, Krishna says that do your work, and how to do your work he describes very vividly. So let us see verse number 30. मयि सर्वाणि कर्माणि संन्यास्य अध्यात्म चेतसा निराशीर्निर्ममो भूत्वा युध्यस्व विगत ज्वरा. Myi unto me sarvani all sorts of karmani activities sannyasa giving up completely adhyatma with full knowledge of the self chetasa by conscious nirashir without desire for profit. This is very important word nirashir without desire for profit. So one should not desire any profit for oneself. Nirmama without ownership. So not only desire for profit, but one should not think that I am the owner. So nirmama bhutva, so being yuddhasva fight, and still one should do his duty. Vigatachara without being lethargic. So in this world, if we see if one doesn't get any share and says that do not work without any profit,
Vignesh 80 వచ్చారు కానీ పొరపాటు
then
అవుతుంది.
one will not work. So, so this is very necessary that one acts like this. Transition. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit, with no claims of propership, and free from lethargy fight. So, in one verse, Krishna has given so many adjectives. O Arjuna, first of all, what you should do, all your works you should surrender to me. So, therefore, you should do all your work for me. Then, second is full knowledge of me. So, not only work for me, but with full knowledge of why you are working for me. So, this is also important. And then, if you are working for me or sending all your work with full knowledge that Krishna is the owner, proprietor, and everything, then without desire for profit. So that one should work not with the aim that I should get this or this or this or this, nothing like this. Without desire for profit and with no claims to proprietorship even. So that one even doesn't decide that, oh, I have done this work or this work, let me become proper of this. No, nothing. And if one doesn't have any profit or one desire any property, then one will naturally become lethargic because one has no motive. Then here Krishna says, I'm free from lethargy. So you should also not be lethargic and fight. So very difficult, but this is the way a devotee should act. So that one gets out of this material world. And Krishna will explain actually next verse says that if one doesn't work according to this, then what happens? And if one works according to what Krishna says, then what happens? So in next two verses, we'll explain. So why he is telling us to work in these conditions. Purport. This verse clearly indicates the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties as if in meditation. Actually, this 3.30 purport is very, very important purport. And if you have time, you may again go through this purport and understand how one should do his Krishna conscious activities. So this line, the Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties as if in military discipline. So we know what is military discipline, very strict, and you have to do the work. So here, whatever duties we do in Krishna consciousness should also be done in this discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna because that is the constitutional position of the living entity. So when one is told to work in such a way as a military discipline, that one should work without any desire for profit, without any propership, and without any lethargy, and doing everything for Krishna, then it is a difficult thing. But one should work like this because that is his conscious position, and one actually will enjoy after some time working like this. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. So, if the living entity uh, becomes independent and says that I want to enjoy and all, he will not be able to do. He'll never be happy. So, if one wants to happy, one has to cooperate with Supreme Personality God because that is eternal position to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. And then only one can be happy. And therefore, we see every living entity wants to serve somebody. Every living entity wants a leader. We want to follow somebody. We want a guru in our life. We want a leader in our life to follow. Why? Why? We want to somebody to serve. If some service is given, we do nicely. Why? Because that is the nature of the jiva. The nature of the jiva is to serve somebody. And therefore, when one serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes very, very happy. And in this world, if one serves any other person long time, he will naturally be dissatisfied because that is not what he was meant for. He was meant to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that will give him maximum happiness. and therefore this should be done. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming property. So this line, one has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming property. So we need to understand this very clearly, that whatever we have in this material world is anyways going to be taken away. So if we have money, if we have good contacts, if we have good relationships, if we have good position, if you have good dress, if you have good bungalow, anything will anyways be taken away. And therefore, Krishna is actually being kind to us, and he's saying that if one has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of Supreme Lord. So if one gives everything for Supreme Lord, what happens is his life is successful. His life is very, very successful, because whatever one has his position, one is a leader, one has his followers, whatever one has. If one gives everything Supreme Personality Godhead, then one is actually successful. Otherwise, what happens is, anyways, all will be taken away. Nothing will be staying with us. And second is, when one is a leader, if one does not now tell everything to Supreme Personality Godhead, what happens is, the other living entities under or other property or thing, they are not being utilized, and they being not utilized remains dissatisfied. The living entities, they will remain dissatisfied, and if property or something is there, they'll be misused in some other uses, and therefore everybody will be dissatisfied. Like we see nowadays, people say that will not donate anything to the Lord, but what happens is, then they have to donate this money to the hospitals, to other things, because naturally by consuming such things and such lifestyle which people live nowadays, one gets sick. So by the material laws of nature, if one does not give anything to Krishna, this material nature will somehow trick, and everything will be taken away. Like sometimes there will be tax authorities who taken away. Sometimes there will natural calamities will take away anything. And like this, ultimately everything will be taken away from us. And therefore, one has to suffer everything for the goodwill of Supreme Lord, and at the same time prescribe this without claiming property. So this is actually natural position, because anything we own is not ours. So when we have come here, we have come empty-handed, and we'll go empty-handed. So anyways, we are not proprietors, but because of the avरण, or the because of the covering of material nature, we think that we are the property and we have this and this is it. Or we think that this company is under me, or this place is under me, or I am the proprietor of this place, or I am the president of this place. These all designations actually are nothing, and will be taken away within some moments of time. It is not very far. So till the time we have this in our hands, what best we can do is use everything for the service of Krishna, and that will make our life successful, and that will make others' life successful. So we should not misunderstand this, that, oh, Krishna is like a commander and he wants everything for himself. How proud he is. No, he's not proud, but he's telling us that how can we best make use of what we have. Otherwise, anyways, material nature will take away. So this is how we should understand things. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord, he had only to execute his order. So we need to execute his order very nicely. The Supreme Lord is the soul of the souls. Therefore, one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal condition, or in other words, who is one is fully conscious, is always Adhyatma Chetas. So we know that actually our life is taken care of Supreme by Supreme Lord. He is the person with whose permission everything is happening. And therefore, when we depend solely and wholly on Supreme Law Soul, so without any condition, therefore we can say that we are in fully Krishna conscious, or we have Adhyatma Chetas, or we have spiritual Chetna. Nirashir means that one has to act on the order of the master but should not expect fruitive results. This is one important thing, Nirashir. So one has to be Nirashir. So when Guru gives us some order, we should follow without expecting any results. So sometimes we see in this world when somebody goes to Guru, maybe Shiksha Guru, maybe Diksha, whatever, one expects so many things that please help me so that my business grow, please help me so that my family become this and this. So many things one asks. So actually, when one serves Guru, actually one should be expecting nothing. One should not expect 50 results. Otherwise, it will be a difficult time because this 50 results will anyways be taken away. This 50 will not stay, and because one is expecting 50 results, what happens when even does not get spiritual things, and therefore one should not go in such a attitude or such a desiring of future results, but one should work menially without expecting any results so that one may achieve spiritual things. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. So it's very important that we see there are in banking industry and all, there are some cashiers are there. So they may count so many things, but it does not belong to him. And he cannot claim a cent also that this is mine. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to an individual person, but everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. So this relation one should have gradually. Now we may not have, and we may consider this home is ours or these people are ours, everything is ours. We think like this. But in this world, nothing is ours. Actually, nothing belongs to us. Everything belongs to Supreme Lord. And in due course time, what we have got will also be taken away. So therefore, one should be in this consciousness that anything, every time, anything will take, anytime everything will be taken away. And therefore, in that detached mode, one should work for Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then one's life will be successful. That is the real purport of me or unto me. And when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim propertyship over anything. So, see, what it doesn't mean that one doesn't take claim property, means will not take care of the things. So, as a caretaker on behalf of Krishna, one has to take care of the things. So, from tomorrow, it is not that, oh, this house is not ours, so we'll not clean the house or will not take care of the house. Let the house become like this. So, that is not the case. One takes care of the house, but as a representative of Krishna. Uh, or we say that, like we say, na, this house is of Krishna. I am staying in the house as in a rent. It is not so. The deity may be small, the temple may be small, but he is the owner of the house, and I am just staying in the house. So that should be our consciousness. This consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there is any reluctance to execute such a stern order, which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in the body relation, that relation should be thrown off. In this way, one will become Vigatajora, or without with furious mentality or lethargy. So, naturally, when we don't have any proper ship or we own nothing, then what happens is we become lethargic. Oh, if I'm not getting anything, why should I work? No, I will not work. So this definitely happens, and therefore here it is said that such relations should be thrown away. In this way, one becomes without fresh mentality or lethargy. So such consciousness or such things should be thrown away so that one becomes Vikatajora. Everyone, according to his quality and position, has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness as described above. That will lead one to the path of liberation. So everyone in this world, whatever everyone is there, according to this quality and position. So whatever qualities we have and whatever position we have, has a particular type of work to discharge. So we have something to discharge as a role, maybe a housewife, maybe a man, maybe children, maybe father, mother, whatever role one has, maybe doctor, maybe pay, or maybe teacher, or whatever role one has. So whatever quality and position one has to work some work to discharge, and all such duties should be discharged in Krishna consciousness as described above. So one should do whatever work has in Krishna consciousness. And what will happen is, so this will lead one to the path of liberation. And that is the next verse. So which says that what happens is one follow this, what teaching them. Because naturally one will have a question, why Krishna is saying so much things? Why one need to work like this? Everything to be given to Krishna without proper shape, without fruits, and without lethargy also, and then to do the do. Why we should do like this? What is the result of this? And what is the result of not doing work like this? So this will be explained in the next two verses. So let's see verse number 31. Yeme matam idam nityam anutistanti manava Shraddhavanto anusuyanto muchyante te api karmabhi. Ye, those who may me my matam injunctions, idam this, nityam as an eternal function, anutishtanti execute regularly, manava human beings, shraddhavanta with faith and devotion, anasuyanta without envy, muchyante become free, te all of them, api even karma be from the bondage of the law of fruitive actions. Translation. The person who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive activities. So, if one works according to the verse number 3.30, which Krishna says that working for Krishna without any lethargy and without expecting any fruitive results and free from ownership, then what happens is one will be freed of this bondage of fruitive activities. That is, one will get liberated or one will get out of this material world. So this is what is we get, and it's not easy to get out of the material world, and therefore without envy is very important. We say, huh, why Krishna is saying everything to him? So when somebody hears this verse of 3.30, naturally, if one is not Krishna, he will become envy, and we think that is God is very proud. Actually, we are proud, but we see Krishna is very proud, and therefore, if you work like this without envy, one will uh, be free from fruity body of fruity results. But the injunction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom, and therefore is eternally true without exception. So, whatever Krishna is saying here is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. So, whatever Vedas has told, the main purpose of Vedas is sense that the living entity gets liberated from this material world. This is the main purpose of all Vedic wisdom. And therefore, what Krishna is saying here is true without exception. As Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Krishna consciousness is also eternal. So we know that all the Vedas are eternal, and therefore the wisdom is also eternal, and therefore the truth of this Krishna is also eternal. One should have firm faith in his injunction without envying the Lord, and therefore we should be very firm of what we need to follow, and we should not be envying the Lord. There are many philosophers who write comments on Bhagavad Gita but have no faith in Krishna. So we have seen nowadays also there are many scholarly persons who write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, but instead of writing about Krishna, because they have no faith on Krishna, they write so many things which are not related to Krishna. And therefore, one who reads such Bhagavad Gita will never become a devotee of Lord. And therefore, one's life is spoiled. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruitive action. And therefore, uh, this person who are writing commentaries will never be liberated. And therefore, we should understand that if the person who is writing cannot be liberated, then how can the person who is reading can be liberated? And therefore, we should read from both. Hare Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I think the connection will lost. I will just switch off my video for some timing. Okay. I think my connection is bit network is weak. So I'll just uh, so I think where were we till the time it was there? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Where did
Verse number 31, sir.
I was until what time in purport did you hear?
So just for 30 seconds, we lost you.
Okay, no issue. So there are many philosophers who write comments on the Bhagavad Gita but have no faith in Krishna. So we're discussing that we see in today's world there are so many philosophers who write so many comments on Bhagavad Gita but they have no faith, and therefore they will never be liberated from body of fruitive action. And if they are not liberated, then how can the readers be liberated? And therefore we should be very careful on where and what we are reading. Otherwise, there will be difficulty. But an ordinary man with firm faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of law of karma. So it is not that one has too much intelligence is required for getting liberated. What is required is firm faith. Actually, if one has faith in whatever injections Krishna is giving, and one will definitely be liberated. And therefore, even an ordinary man with one firm faith can be liberated, whereas one is very intelligent may remain here. Therefore, it is not required that even we can execute such orders. So, one has to have firm faith on what Krishna is saying. And if faith is there, that is the whole thing in spiritual life. Faith is the main thing which is spiritual life, and one should try to preserve faith in all circumstances. One should try to cultivate faith in all circumstances. So one may be knowledgeable, one not be knowledgeable, one may have some powers, one not have some powers. But the faith that what Krishna is saying is true and Krishna is what he is doing is for my benefit. If that faith is there, then definitely one will be liberated. This one should know. Uh, but an ordinary man with firm faith in the intelligence of the Lord, even though is unable to execute orders. So one has faith, but one not be able to execute orders. It may find difficulty in executing order. Becomes liberated from the bondage of law of karma. Such a person is also may be liberated from law of karma. So this is very important. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the intention of the Lord. But because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of the defeat and of and hopelessness, one he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. So when one starts devotional service, one may not be able to understand so many injunctions, one not be able to follow injunction if one knows and understand also. So the point is that one should not be resentful and should try to work sincerely towards that as far as one's energy goes, as far as one's ability goes. Then gradually what will happen is one will definitely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness, and this way one can get liberated from this material world. So what is important is faith and not intelligence, and what is important is to sincerely try to execute the order of Krishna as far as one can. If that can be done, then one's life is successful. So now in verse number 32, Krishna explains what happens if one does not regard the teachings which is given in previous verses. Like in verse number 31, Krishna said what happens if one follows teachings. And now in verse number 32, Krishna will say what happens if one does not follow his teachings. So let's see verse number 32. ये तो एतत् अभयसूयन्तो नानुतिष्ठन्ति मे मतम् सर्वज्ञानविमूढां स्थान् विधिनस्तान् अचेतस. Ye, those, two, however, etat this, abhaya suyanta, out of envy, no, do not, anutishtanti, regularly perform, me, my, matam, injunction, sarva jnana, in all sorts of knowledge, vimudhan, perfectly befooled, tan, they are, vidhi, know it well, nastan, all ruined, achesasa, without Krishna consciousness. Transition. But those who, out of envy, disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So, firstly, we should understand why will we not follow the instruction of Krishna, or why we are not, why if we are cannot follow. So the main thing is envy, because we envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore we are not able to follow injunctions. If one is not envious, then definitely one be able to follow the teachings of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, out of envy, disregard this teaching, that these teachings are not useful or not beneficial, and do not follow them regularly. So what happened is they are considered to be bereft of all knowledge. Therefore, they do not have real knowledge. They may have some material knowledge, but they do not have real knowledge, and they are befooled. They are being fooled by the material nature. So vimudhan, so you are perfectly befooled. So they are befooled and ruined in their endeavors of perfection. So one will be never achieve perfection in life. One will never be liberated from his material life, and one will have to definitely work for so many lifetimes and after lifetimes and lifetimes. So therefore, uh, one should uh, actually try to understand as far as one can and try to follow the injunction of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: the flaw of not being Krishna consciousness is clearly stated here, as there is punishment for disobedience to the order of Supreme Executive Head. So there is certainly punishment for disobedience to the order of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this world also we see that various states have laws, and one who does not follow the orders, what happens is uh, one is punished. So here also, when one does not follow the order Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is punished. But the only difference is that one is punished by the material nature, and therefore, one should try to follow the orders of Krishna as far as one can. A disobedient person, however great he may be, is ignorant of his own self. So it is not a matter of what position one has or how much learned one is. If he is disobedient, then how much degree one has, however great he is, he is to be considered ignorant of his own self. That is, he is not working for his own uh, benefit. And now the Supreme Brahman, Paramatma, and the personality of Godhead, due to a vacant heart. So that means his heart has no knowledge, his heart is vacant, he has no devotion, and therefore, such person, however great may be in the material estimation, actually is considered ignorant. Therefore, there is no hope of perfection of life for him. So, such a person will never ever be able to be perfect his life. That means he has to again go to cycle of birth and death. He will never be able to liberate himself. So this is very important, and therefore, Krishna conscious person or devotees should try to spread the message as far as one can, so that the life of so many people can be changed. So now, let's see the verse number 33. So if one does not follow teachings of Krishna, what happens is one will have to follow the modes of material nature, and this provides us very deep conditioning nature. And because of that, what happens? Let us see in verse number 33. Sadrishim cheshtate swasya prakritiryanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Sadrishim, accordingly, cheshtate, tries, swasya, by his own, prakriti, modes of nature, Jnanavan, learned, api, although, prakriti, nature, yanti, undergo, bhutani, all living entities, nigraha, repression, kim, what, kaishyati, can do. Translation. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature. Or everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? So, um, even if a person is a man of knowledge, if he doesn't act according to the injunction Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what does he act on? He acts on the nature which he acquired. That is the nature of goodness, passion, ignorance, the modes of material nature, which what he has acquired, he will act according to that. So if one does not act in devotion and acts in the modes, then what happens is, uh, what will or what can repression or punishment accomplish? So if one is punished in by some ways or other, then it will not accomplish anything or will not get rectified. So therefore, uh, this has to be understood. And this, the regression or nigra, is according to scriptures. So whatever rules and regulations are there in scriptures, by that one is being uh, told that one should do like this or that, and therefore this will not accomplishment. So that's the purport. Unless one is situated on the transcendental platform Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of modes of material nature. It is confirmed by Lord in the 7th chapter, 14th verse. So, if one is not Krishna conscious or one is not devotee of Krishna, actually one cannot get out free from the modes of material nature. The modes of material nature are very, very, very strong, and one cannot get out of material nature unless Krishna gives the mercy to get out. And this is confirmed by the Lord in 7th chapter, verse 14. Therefore, even for the most highly educated person on the mundane plane, so one may have so many PhDs and has done so many achievements in life, so many, he may have so many degrees. Like I know one person who every 2 3 months has one degree, more degree. So he may be having 50 60 degrees or maybe more, and his like we have biodata, his one page is only of degrees what he achieved, so many degrees, so many degrees, so many degrees. But then such a person cannot get out of Maya. So this is not easy, because by theoretical knowledge or separating soul from the body is not possible. So it is not very easy. And therefore, in verse number 7.14, Krishna says, Devi Aishi Gunumai Mammaya Duratya. So this energy, Devi, is of Krishna. This is my energy. So this three modes, Gunmai is my energy. And Mama Maya Duratya, he says that this energy is Duratya. Duratya is very, very difficult to overcome. And he says that Mame Vai Prapadante Maya Metam Tarante. But those who surrender to me can easily get out of this material world. So this is very important to note, that otherwise it's not easy. But one who surrenders to Krishna, then it's very easy to get out of material world. Otherwise, Punarapi Janam, Punarapi Maram. So one will get birth, one will again die. This will actually happen. There are so many so-called spiritualists who outwardly pose as advanced in the science, but inwardly or privately are completely under particular modes of nature, which they are unable to surpass. So very important thing to note, that we see in today's world, there are so many so-called spiritualists. They will do like this, and so many yagyas, artis, or shlokas, or rituals, or so many things they'll do, and pose themselves advanced in the science. But if we see their inward life, they're completely controlled by some modes, maybe passion, maybe ignorance or goodness, whatever it may be. But they're completely controlled by that, and one cannot on his own strength pass this natures, and therefore they are in these modes. Academically, one may be very learned, but because of his long association with nature, he's in bondage. So just theoretical knowledge will not help. One has to practically execute Krishna consciousness. Uh, Otherwise, one cannot come out of bondage. Krishna consciousness helps one to get out of material entanglement, even though one may be engaged in prescribed duties in terms of material existence. So, if one is a devotee, one can get out of material engagement, even though one has to do his prescribed duties or one has to do whatever needed for his material existence. Therefore, without being fully in Krishna consciousness, one should not give up his occupational duties. So, this is very important that whatever duties we are performing, we should execute it to the best of our capacity and gradually become Krishna conscious. So, uh, one should uh, try to do it gradually and not abruptly. So, daily, slowly by slowly, one should grow and then one should do. No one should suddenly give up his prescribed duties and become a so-called yogi or transcendentalist artificially. So, this term, no one should suddenly give up his prescribed duties and become a so-called yogi transcendentalist. So, this all things apply to karma yogi and jnana yogi. So, what is limitations actually, nigra or ye? So, let us understand this. So, limitations of karma and jnana. So, the scripture injunctions, which are the nigraha or visena of Nishkam Karma Yoga, can purify the enlightened and impure heart, the impure hearted. So, if one has a bit impure heart, then what will happen is this whatever this rules and regulations are there, they will help him to enlighten and help him to purify. So the scripture injunction of Jnana Yoga can purify and enlighten the pure hearted. And after doing all the rules and regulations, if one gets pure, then what happens is the Jnana Yoga can help in enlighten purity. But neither can purify. So this Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga cannot purify the extremely impure hearted people. So one who is very, very impure, what happens is uh, this Jnana Yoga and Jnana Yoga will not help. Only and only Bhakti Yoga will help. That is all. So, what is the glory of Bhakti? So, Bhakti Yoga arising from the closest mercy of Lord Krishna and the association of his saintly devotees can deliver even the most sinful persons. And this is very important thing that in today's day and age, if we see most people are most sinful and therefore Krishna consciousness can only help, not other methods. Unless one is situated on the transcendent platform, Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature. And therefore, however learned one is, however things may do, so one will not be able to get out of this material world. And therefore, we should understand this very nicely. And it is better to be situated in one's position and try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. So, what are activities we are doing? What we should do is gradually become more and more Krishna conscious and under superior training. This is also very required because on our own we are not be able to find out what is best for us, what to know now also, and therefore this superior training or by devotees, superior devotees training is very much required. So one's progress in life will depend on how much one is in connect with superior people or one takes enough training. And if we see in Bhagavatam also, even Vyasdev, who is the writer and compiler of all the Vedas, Puranas, and all, he takes training or guidance from Naraduni when he is dissatisfied. So therefore, anyone in this material world, uh, we see needs some training or guidance. Otherwise, it will not be so easy to execute Krishna consciousness. Thus, one may be free from the clutches of Krishna Samaya. So, gradually, if all things are carried out, then what happens is one will get out of this clutches of Krishna's Maya energy and one will get liberated from this material world. So, I will pause here. Uh, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.